So, in the last video, we looked at the harsh beauty of Scotland's wild landscapes and the very real dangers they pose. We explored the disappearance of Finn Creaney, a seasoned bushcrafter whose story still leaves more questions than answers, as well as the tragic cases of Tom and Richie Parry and Kyle Sambrook and his dog Bane. Each of these stories served as a sobering reminder of just how unforgiving the Highlands can be, even for the experienced. In this video, we're going to continue that journey into the realities of Scotland's wilderness and the people who faced it head on. This is More Death in the Scottish Highlands. The Scottish wilderness is as dangerous as it is beautiful. As we explored in the last video, it's a place of vast empty moorlands, steep and remote mountains, and weather that can shift from calm to life-threatening within minutes. There's little to no phone signal, few marked trails, and countless hidden hazards, from deep bogs and swollen rivers to sudden cliffs. Even those with years of experience can be caught off guard. It's this combination of isolation, unpredictability, and rugged terrain that makes Scotland's wild places so unforgiving. John Meakin was not just a climber, he was a lifelong adventurer. At 80 years old, he had spent decades exploring some of the world's most rugged landscapes, from the towering peaks of Europe to the arid mountains of North Africa. A former RAF serviceman from Fife, John's passion for the mountains was undiminished by his age. According to his family, he never slowed down, not even when he turned 80. His youngest son David said his dream was to match the feat of the legendary Swiss alpine climber Marcel Remy, who was still able to climb aged 99. Sadly, he never got that far, but we are all still hugely proud of his drive and determination. On July the 26th, 2023, John was climbing in the Cullen Mountains on the Isle of Skye, specifically on Curragh of Vastaya, a peak that rises to 3,064 feet or 933 metres. It's an area revered by climbers for its jagged ridgelines and dramatic views, but also feared for its technical challenges and unpredictable weather. John was accompanied by his climbing partner and friend David Morris when tragedy struck, which was at approximately 3:05 PM when he fell off the mountainside. Whilst climbing in the corrie, John lost his footing and fell. The terrain in this section is known for its sheer rock faces and steep exposed ledges where a misstep can prove fatal. It is not publicly confirmed how far he fell, but given the seriousness of the response and outcome, it was clearly a significant drop. His partner, David Morris, remained with him and immediately called for help. What followed was a rapid and coordinated response involving Skye Mountain Rescue Team, the Stornoway Coast Guard helicopter, and 20 mountain rescue volunteers. Several nearby climbers also assisted during the recovery. Despite their efforts, John Meakin was pronounced dead at the scene. His injuries were described as fatal, and authorities stated that there were no suspicious circumstances surrounding the incident. In a statement issued later, Skye Mountain Rescue Team wrote, "On Wednesday afternoon, the team responded to a report of a fallen climber in Curragh of Vastaya. Sadly, the experienced male's injuries were fatal. Our thoughts go out to the climber's family and friends." John's family expressed both grief and gratitude, saying, "We understand that he was rescued quickly once contacted by his climbing partner on the day. Thanks to David also for staying with my dad. We were obviously shocked when we first got the news, but we have been comforted since by knowing he spent his final days walking in the Scottish Highlands." John Meakin left behind his wife Eleanor, to whom he had been married for 62 years, and his sons David, Brian, and Ian. In the previous video, we looked at two tragic cases from Gleno, a stunning yet unpredictable region of the Highlands. Sadly, another recent incident in this same unforgiving region adds to that list of heartbreak. According to Gleno Mountain Rescue Team leader Andy Nelson, the initial alert was raised at around 9:30 AM, when concerned walkers spotted a young woman in a distressed state near a path from the Larrig ALD car park. She was found very cold and incoherent, but managed to indicate that her mother was missing. The response was swift. 25 rescuers from Gleno Mountain Rescue Team, assisted by a Coast Guard helicopter, launched a coordinated search. The daughter had been given extra clothing, an early clue that her mother had likely left in an attempt to get help. Sadly, her mother's body was later discovered in a small hollow, hidden from the path, not far from where her daughter had been found. Authorities believe that she fell whilst trying to get help, potentially after losing her footing. They believe her daughter either became too ill to carry on or too cold, so she set off on her own in a search for help in a hurry. Whilst trying to get help for her daughter, she lost her footing and fell, which caused her death. Despite the conditions being relatively safe, clear visibility, below the snow line, and they had adequate equipment, the tragic sequence unfolded with devastating consequences. Andy Nelson said, "The hill walkers who came across the first woman said she was mumbling something about her mum but wasn't making much sense. Because there was information that another woman was missing, we started to look for her. The daughter was airlifted to Belford Hospital in Fort William, where she was treated and her condition was later described as stable. Police Scotland confirmed that the inquiries were ongoing to establish the full circumstances, but they described it as a tragic accident." Another accident would happen in Glencoe just months later in June of 2019. Another walker, 55-year-old Isabel Tortoise, lost her life in a freak and almost unimaginable accident. She was struck by lightning whilst hiking with her friend in the Mamor Range near Glencoe. Isabel had been walking with a group of 7 hikers from the Linlith Row Ramblers when the weather turned. The group were just south of Ben Nevis, 3,465 feet up the mountain, when a sudden and short thunderstorm rolled over the ridge. A bolt of lightning struck, injuring 2 members of the group, one of them being fatal. Despite rapid assistance from the Glencoe Mountain Rescue Team, Coast Guard helicopters, and Scotland's Air Ambulance Service, Isabel could not be saved. Her daughter Ashley later wrote, "My mum died instantly. A freak 1 in a million accident you would never think is possible." Andy Nelson was also involved in this rescue and described it as incredibly rare, saying, "We're quite used to seeing nasty accidents, but this was very unusual. I would say it was a freak accident. There was no storm warning in place that day, just a typical forecast for afternoon rain." He would go on to say, "It was a completely reasonable expedition for the group to undertake." For our final deep dive, I decided to include Jordan Shepherd's story from the Scottish Daily Express. Jordan is a climber often trekking across different areas of the Highlands. For him, hiking is an addiction, and to an extent, the danger it can present excited him. When this article came out in 2022, a few people had already died climbing Scotland's Monrose. These are mountains in Scotland with an elevation of more than 3,000 feet. Over the years of climbing these Monrose, Jordan claims that nearly every hiker he has spoken to has had a near-death experience in Scotland, whether this be from the weather or a fall. In early 2022, Jordan was climbing Ben Starav when a melting snow patch caused him to nearly slip off the side of the mountain. It was early March, and at 11 AM, he set off on a 10-mile hike up Ben Starav, located near Glencoe. The weather was perfect for walking, with great visibility and bright blue skies. When he was around 800 metres up, he looked up towards the summit, which was covered in snow. He came across a few hikers on their way down, who told him you could only reach the summit with snow spikes. Jordan did not have these. When he got there, he assessed the situation and deemed it safe enough to walk up, which would later prove to be a massive mistake. As he got further up, 20 metres from the summit, things began to go wrong. The snow was deeper than he thought, and it began to melt. This caused the snow to crumble underneath his feet, sending him sliding down the mountain towards a 1,000 metre drop off the edge. He managed to grab a rock with both hands and calm himself down. He thought to himself, "It's just one slip. I'm right near the top. I can do this." This was another big mistake. He got up and tried once more to get up the mountain, but this time, more snow gave way, sending him towards the edge. As he fell towards the edge, he grabbed helplessly at snow to no use. Thankfully, just 1 metre before falling to his death, he managed to grab a huge rock and clutch onto it for dear life. He managed to scramble back to safety and descend down the mountain, but his body was injured from the fall, and he kept falling due to snow melting. He had no signal on his phone, and he never told anyone about his walk. At 10 PM at night, he finally made it back to his car. He said he was terrified by the experience. However, this has not deterred him, and he continues to climb the Monrose to this day, but he now knows how dangerous it can be and takes safety way more seriously due to the experience. I'm glad we can end on a bit of a lighter note, but it is a powerful reminder that in the Highlands, nature rewards the prepared and punishes the careless. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. I am now back from my trip to the Scottish Highlands, and I can honestly say it is one of the best places I have ever visited, and every time I go it amazes me. I have a series of images on my Instagram if you're wanting to see what I got up to over there on my 1200 mile road trip over 5 days. Let me know what you thought about these cases in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.